how avian flu is affecting one of the UK's most important colonies of wild birds. The Farne Islands off the Northumberland coast announced last week that it will remain closed until the end of the summer after cases of the virus were found. It's home to tens of thousands of pairs of puffins and eider ducks and so many more. Our correspondent Ben Chapman was invited to film on the islands to show the impact on the birds and why it's vital to protect them.
There's 1.5 miles of choppy blue water separating the mainland from the Farne Islands. But that hasn't prevented this safe haven for tens of thousands of nesting seabirds becoming a breeding ground for bird flu. To go ashore, I'm required to put on a hazmat suit to avoid cross-contamination, one of the very last visitors allowed to set foot here, after the National Trust closed the islands to the public to help control the spread.
It means we can focus more on carefully monitoring these birds and limiting the disturbance. We kind of want to make sure that our birds are reserving their energy and kind of helping them to stand a better chance of fighting this disease.
In a normal year, some 45,000 visitors would set foot on this jetty wearing t-shirts and trainers and carrying binoculars. The fact that I'm doing it having to be dressed like this is both very surreal and also just really sad. And it's a stark illustration of the threat avian flu poses to this seabird colony.
After the disease arrived here last summer, rangers found and disposed of more than 6,000 dead birds. They've had 3 confirmed cases already this year and say it's the biggest danger since the National Trust began managing these islands a century ago.
Many of the birds that use these islands as a breeding habitat are already under threat from other challenges such as climate change, and if we have a great number of losses from bird flu, it makes it even more difficult for them to recover later.
But what's bad for the birds can be bad for business too. This summer tourists can only birdwatch from the boat, but operators agree they must look after the colony for the long term.
It is a nature reserve, and in the long run you've got to protect the birds. Yeah.
Even if there's a bit of a hit to business in the short term?
Well, as I say, the people still coming.
Access will now be limited to a small number of rangers who'll monitor the birds and manage their habitat. But with no social distancing, there's a limit to what they can do against this airborne virus. Ben Chapman, ITV News, the Farne Islands.